this video, we're talking about how to use factoring to find a common denominator. And in this particular problem, we've been asked to combine these two fractions. The first one is x plus 3 divided by quantity x squared minus x minus 6. And then we're subtracting 3 divided by 3 minus x. So we need to find one fraction. We've been asked to combine the fractions. But right now, the problem is the difference of two fractions. So the first thing we want to do is see if we can factor the denominator of this first fraction, because it's a trinomial, so we might be able to factor it. Remember that the factors of 6 are 6 and 1 or 3 and 2. Because we have a negative 1x in the middle here, we might be able to say minus 3x plus 2x to give us a negative x. So let's go ahead and try that. We'll get x plus 3, and then in the denominator here, we'll get x times x to give us x squared, and then we'll say minus 3 and plus 2. Now if we FOIL that back out just to double check ourselves, we'll get x squared, x times 2 is a plus 2x, negative 3 times x is a minus 3x, and negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6, or x squared plus 2 minus 3 is a minus 1, so minus x minus 6. And we get back to our original denominator, so we know we factored correctly. So we have the denominator of the first fraction factored, and now we're going to say minus 3 over 3 minus x. So now we need to find a common denominator between these two fractions. Notice that we have this one factor here, x minus 3, and over here we have 3 minus x. Well, those are exactly opposite of one another, because in this first factor we have a positive x, and in the second factor we have a negative x. In the first factor we have a negative 3, and in the second factor we have a positive 3. So the term that's positive over here is negative over here, and vice versa. So they're exactly opposite. What we can do to fix that is we can factor out a negative 1. If we factor out a negative 1 from here, from this denominator, we're going to get negative 1 times negative 3 plus x, or if we change the order here, negative 1 times x minus 3. Now all we need to do is pull this negative 1 out in front of our fraction. Negative 1 times this negative sign here is going to make this a positive, and now our denominator is just x minus 3 once we've removed that negative 1. So now we have this x minus 3 factor here, which perfectly matches this x minus 3 factor. All we had to do was bring out a negative, so this negative became a positive, and we got to the opposite of this binomial term here. So now we have 3 over x minus 3, but the denominator of this other fraction is x minus 3 times x plus 2. So we have to multiply by a factor of x plus 2. So that we don't change the value of this fraction, we need to multiply both the numerator by x plus 2 and the denominator by x plus 2. When we do that, now we have a common denominator, and we just need to distribute this 3 across the x plus 2. So here's what we get. We'll have x plus 3 over quantity x minus 3 times quantity x plus 2 for our first fraction. That stays the same, of course. And then here we'll distribute the 3 across the x and the 2. So we'll get plus 3x plus 6. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 2 is 6, all over quantity x minus 3 times quantity x plus 2. With this common denominator, we can now combine our fractions. So we'll have x plus 3 plus 3x plus 6, and we just add straight across our numerator, all over x minus 3 times x plus 2. X plus 3x is 4x, and 3 plus 6 is 9, so we get 4x plus 9 all over quantity x minus 3 times quantity x plus 2. And this can be our final answer. If we want to, we can multiply back out the denominator, and we could also write our answer as 4x plus 9 divided by x squared minus x minus 6, which was our original denominator. But either way, that's how you can factor a denominator, a common denominator with another fraction, and combine two fractions like this.